My new book, Pillars for Life, A Guide to Spiritual Ethics and Practice, is now out and available for you to read and purchase. You can check out our website, willowhealing.org, to find a link, or you can find it on Amazon. We look forward to getting your feedback, and if you love it, please leave a review and share with your friends. Now it's time for the show. Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hey everybody, it's Catherine Cristani with another episode of Willow Healing Matters. So I am joined today by the beautiful Ivana Care, who is a life coach and certified root cause therapy practitioner. She found herself facing an impossible choice in a relationship that no longer served her. Leaving meant stepping into the unknown and facing adversity, but it also meant opening doors to new possibilities. Today, Ivana is helping other women finding themselves after separation. She combines her personal experience with powerful tools, trauma healing techniques to help women find themselves after separation. She is a qualified root cause therapy certification coach and a trauma-informed manifestation coach as well. And a big welcome to the show, Ivana, and I'm so delighted and honored to have you here today.
Thank you, and welcome everyone.
So I guess the biggest thing that my question is for people listening, what is a root cause therapist and what does that actually mean when we want to unpack that?
Yeah, let's start there. So you also said trauma informed. So it's got something to do with going to the root cause. And we have to dig a little bit deeper. So instead of looking at the symptoms, we look deeper underneath and heal what is the cause, the root cause of the problem. So symptoms could be a people pleaser. Syndrome could be I'm not confident, I'm not comfortable with public speaking. So those are symptoms. And if you come to me with presenting symptoms of, I'm not successful in a relationship, I feel like I'm a failure, I'm scared of leaving a relationship even though it's not for me. So we're not look at the presenting symptom, we're looking underneath. There are some powerful coaching questions as well as a protocol. So it has actually a bit of a science to it. And one of the modalities or one of the ways how we access the unconscious or what is like underneath is by muscle testing. That comes from kinesiology because your body remembers. So through muscle testing, we can see what is underneath. So is it a fear of abandonment? Is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear of success? And then from what is there, we go even deeper and we ask your subconscious where it's coming from. And a lot of the time we go back to when we were 5-year-old, 2-year-old, and we start processing the emotions or the initial imprint somewhere deep, deep inside in our core and heal it at that level. And what happened on the way, you actually realize like now I can sit with that uncomfortable feeling. Now I can say no when my body says no. And I'm not scared to say no because I'm not scared of being abandoned because that root cause disappear. And suddenly you feel more clarity, more ease, like self-awareness and assertiveness to say what you want to say instead of being scared. But you're not scared of the other person. Sometimes we're scared of ourselves, scared of that feeling, scared of that fear. So that's what root cause therapy is. Very deep work.
Yeah, which is such a beautiful thing for people to do because so often sometimes we don't understand why we feel how we feel. And it comes down to those root causes, exactly like you said, and even when our body's showing physical symptoms, it's actually because that's a sign that our body and our system's imbalanced, right? Rather than, being stuck where it was. And I know personally from working with you, there was, what we were working with together was this deep underlying shame. And I had no idea where it had actually come from. And then it ended up being, I think I found a key. That's what I remember. And my like little self, I went and found a key to unlock everything. Actually, no, I remember now. There it is.
It started
But
with the key. It started with the key.
it
Yeah.
started with the key, and then we had to find what the key was for. So it's really interesting when you piece it up, like when you piece it together. But having you as a guide can be such a powerful thing to help make sense of the subconscious, because sometimes we can get there in little bits, but it's harder to always put it all together at that bigger level.
Yeah, 100%. Someone who holds the space, someone who is the guide, and like all of those things and meditations or inner work is definitely possible on your own. But there is some magic happening when you are accompanied by another consciousness, another soul, another witness, and you are much braver to go further. And if that's someone who can hold the space, who is trained, in also knowing the cues and also having practice of what are the kind of, how would I say, distractions and what is leading you to the depth, that's very powerful, and you can go deeper further and resolve. Of course, there are always layers. So yeah, layer by layer, heal your life.
Exactly. And I think that's such a big thing, that there are always layers and you have to keep peeling them back. You have to keep, looking what's underneath. And it does take courage to want to keep going further into that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's how healing happened to me as well. So I actually found this modality later on, but it was something which I witnessed as a client, right? Reaching out to a therapist for like, oh my goodness, my life is not working, help me, point. And I didn't know what's happening. And I didn't know like, where will she take me or what is wrong with me in a sense. And only when it kind of intuitively led me to, I thought like there's childhood trauma or something. I don't know what I want to do. And I end up doing root cause therapy. And as soon as like I got into it and I got trained and I was equipped with the tools as well as the protocols, I was like, this is actually the work I've done or I witnessed as a client. And it led me exactly what I wanted to do, because once I experienced that transformation and the healing, I knew that this is for me and that I want to pass it on to others. So many years after I had my healing session, I successfully find a modality as being able to guide others and provide with the medicine.
I love that, because that was my next question and you answered it
Was
before
it?
I asked it, which I love it, which was how you came about it. But I feel it's sometimes so powerful when we experience it ourselves at some level and then we go and want to learn about it, because that really fosters our understanding from being on both sides, right? Because sometimes when you only learnt the theory behind it, it's really hard to understand till you've actually embodied that into your life and actually experienced it on the other side as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And because I gain like a fellow peers, practitioners who want to swap sessions, I keep doing that inner work on myself as well. And my latest breakthrough was similar to yours, because now I'm coach, a person who needs to hold space for others. So I have to continue my inner journey,
Evolution.
inner healing. Exactly. And still working on my fear. So where my first fear was saying no in a relationship, now my fears are probably, showing up, have courage, public speaking, speaking my truth, and different layers of myself, and the feeling of being scared of now different things, but still working towards what is on the other side, like what is deeper, what happened to me. And my latest one was, I can't do it. And similar to you, where there was a clue to younger version of myself, like I was not able to process all my feelings in that moment. I was like that 2-year-old tantrum, frustration. And on the top of it, there was a layer of me feeling scared to express it. So what happens in adult life now, when I am frustrated, I'm scared of that sensation and I hide it from myself, not being able to even access it. So I kind of like, oh, I'm okay, don't look at me, like, well, and I'm scared of feeling the full-on frustration. I can't do it. But funny thing is, like, if I allow myself to feel it, on the other side of that frustration is always the acceptance, always the love, always the assurance. And funny enough, I pulled a card today for us, like for the session, and it says, your wish comes true, concerns fade away, a love of life. So that's a message. It's a message for us.
I love it.
So
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. And that's what I
I
always
love
find.
it.
And the other side of the, whatever feeling it is, it's always love, acceptance, and the wisdom. And from that space, you can make the decisions, you can make the, action in your life, move on with that ease, with that knowing that there's always the positive.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important contrast to Ivana, is that so many people forget that there's always a different perspective for every situation, right? Like, so often we'll just get stuck in the despair of where we are, and it can be really hard to step out, especially when you are in that trauma. But the power that you can summon to step out of that and say, like you said, like say that powerful no in a relationship, I can't even compare it, because once you get your powerful no, it's just changes everything around you. And I feel too, like such an important comparison is that, you brought up that you're worried about public speaking and showing up and speaking your truth. And yet you were the one that reached out to me and say, hey, should we go on Instagram live? And I'm like, okay. Exactly. So clearly part of you is like, no, we need to share this with the world. I don't care. But then,
Yeah.
you've got that subconscious part of you that's like, no, we've got to show up. I don't want to do that. So I just want to commend you and say well
Because we
done for
have
doing
both,
that.
so there's layers.
Yes.
Like there's this part of me which is kind of like breathe through it, breathe through. We're about to go live, and there is that I need to have a glass of water and like another time, soothe myself. And I know a divine power in me as well, the other part which knows you're gonna be okay. Like your truth, you speak from your heart, and you have a beautiful message to share. So there's nothing to be afraid of. And I have both parts inside of me as well, because I've done this many times before. And what also helps me to overcome my fear is the fear is just mine, but the message I have is not mine.
It's
And I have
bigger
to
than
work
you.
just on that, on that level of like, exactly, it's bigger than you said.
Yeah. And I think that's so beautiful, because it's I talk about this a lot to my clients as well. And these beautiful ladies that I coach, where you have to have the fear and you have to have the excitement, because together you can actually get a really powerful thing go through. Because if you don't have the fear, you're not on the right track. It's not big enough. Like if you're not scared of your goal, if you think you're going to achieve it easy peasy, and guess what? You are not aiming big enough. You are playing it safe, and goals are the biggest thing I've learned, is that goals are there to set like a kind of a bar for you, but you might not achieve them, but it's the whole journey of getting there, and it's whole like challenging yourself and making you step out of your comfort zone, and like you said, you've got this big divine message that you want to share with the world. So, it's bigger than you. So you're going to keep showing up, even if you're sick, even if your kids are throwing up in the bathroom, whatever it might be. If you've got those commitments and you can show up to it, you will, because it's your passion and it's where you want to be sharing that message with the world, and it needs to get out there.
Yes, yes, yes. Is your little one okay? Just
Yeah, I think
thinking.
he's fine. No, he's fine. Havana
Just
and I were both comparing bedtime stories before we got on to do this, because my little one wouldn't go to sleep, and her little one, both of them were just one, wouldn't go to sleep either. And this is the tricky thing with being a parent, is you just have to learn how to balance it. It's not even balancing, it's embodying it, right? Like you embody being a mum, you embody being a coach, you embody it, and you just make it all work. And I feel sometimes that's a mum's superpower that no one really talks about. You can make crap happen, and people don't realize how magical that is, that you can get everything in a line and make your day run smoothly, or as smooth as it can sometimes as well.
I just had an event actually this week, processing grief, and I had 6 ladies joining my webinar. We were in the middle of a meditation while my little one just woke up screaming, water, I want water. No one minded. They all knew what is happening, and I was soothing their tender heart while I was soothing the little one's tender heart. Probably they put the two together.
Exactly.
That's just life.
Life.
And yeah, it was so gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like all my years that I worked as a speech pathologist, like working with children and parents, I never had a single parent. Actually, no, I think I had one or two parents that would get a bit cranky. if I was like, on the phone and then my child would start talking in the background because I was trying to take an inquiry or whatever, because most of the time, your mum's talking to other mums and they just get it, and it's not about apologizing for your child's behavior. And I think we need to learn to stop doing that too, because they're just being kids and we can't control them. It's just like, the most, I feel, instead of apologizing, we can go, thank you for understanding, because that is more powerful than trying to apologize for your child being your child. Like, what's the point? Like my little one, uh, he doesn't talk to other adults. Like if there's more than two adults in the room, he will not talk to them. And people think he like is rude and everything else. And I actually stopped explaining it because I was like, you know what? He's just being himself. And we've actually taught him a little bit to say, sometimes with adults, if you just say hello, that's enough for them to stop annoying you. Because if you don't respond, sometimes they see it in their mindset to make you keep talking. So once he learned that, especially with his great grandparents, he was like, oh, okay, if I just say hello and a few things, then they'll leave me alone for the rest of the time. We're like, yes, this is what we've been trying to tell you. But we had to teach him that contrast. So it wasn't trying to change who he was, but it was just trying to contrast for him that difference. And I feel that's such an important thing when we come back to coaching and what you do with the root cause. A lot of those things, being told by our parents to, be quiet, all those sorts of things in childhood, not out of necessary maliciousness, but it might have just been, like, just be quiet, we're doing something, to be quiet. But the little psyche doesn't know any different. And I feel that's such an important thing to remember as mums, and how to try and nourish our children so they don't have to sit there and go to coaches as well.
And ourselves, right? Because we are our children as well. Yeah, so powerful. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. We definitely are our own children. And I think, so often I used to get clients come in and they're like, oh my gosh, they're doing this. I said, oh, which one of you are they like? Because it's always one of the parents. And they'll go, me. And I was like, okay. And then they just kind of get that realization, right? And then they go,
Yeah.
they're exactly like me. And sometimes that can be such a powerful thing to remember, that our little ones are just reflections of us, and they're very good at pushing our buttons because they know which buttons to push because they have the same ones.
Yeah, yeah. But it's very empowering to give them language to express themselves. And the more we teach them, the more we also learn about ourselves. And yeah, I think 3-4 years old can already have enough vocabulary to have the conversation back, to understand, their emotions and talk things. And that's when we realize some of those hurts we understand, but when we were hurt or had any trauma, and now I'm talking trauma, it doesn't have to be anything big, but it is important to us how we feel in that moment, even if it was something small to others. So it mattered to us, and if we were not safe to process that emotion, we still feel hurt today in our body and have to complete the process. And if we were pre-verbal in that moment, it's really hard to process that emotion. That's why sometimes we need that guide and need someone to unpack that emotion for us. Because if we have something happen to us, and there's not a rule of thumb, sometimes we're confused even if it happened when we are 40. But especially for the early stages, children, not only they don't remember, and we don't remember the things which happened to us before we were 2, but we also didn't have the understanding of like, oh, I was only sad or I was only confused, and that's okay to feel confused. So that's why a lot of the trauma is from the pre-verbal stage, where it's so hard to understand what's happening around us. I just thought it's important to say.
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful point, Ivana, because so often too, a lot of the times just talking through emotions, even if we think the kids don't actually understand it, it's still going into their subconscious, like it's still being programmed at those deeper levels. So, from a child, it's from the time of conception, if not before as well, which is mind-blowing. But, especially like in utero, babies can hear from 20, so they're already taking everything in before they even come into this world. And I feel that that's such a important thing to remember, because when I found out that, I don't know about you, but I actually read to my bump back when it was before my little one, like every night, or I'd say a nursery rhyme. And then now he absolutely loves books. From the moment he was born, like he would happily soothe whenever we read a book. And it was just that transition between the two. And, you know, to the point where I never would say no if he wanted to buy a book. We have so many books, and I don't care, because it's just so beautiful. And, you know, I find literacy something really important. But at the same time, it just goes to show that you can actually not program, but you can already be, well, it is a program almost, because from that very early stage, everything's been imprinted into their systems and into their subconscious before they even come out into the world with all the heightened stimulation and everything as well. And then, like you said, because they're nonverbal or they're pre-verbal, or they might not have that logical reasoning yet, it's so important to give them the words, you know, and sometimes talking through what you're going through, even if they're not, can help them understand. So when they go through it, they know too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you teach them the process, or you teach them that emotion has the up and has down. So if you're able to process your own emotions, yeah, it's so beautiful, so beautiful.
Yeah, I
And
had
they
this
sense the emotions. They sense your emotions. So a lot of the time, like if we are in the utero,
100%.
we are soaking the emotions of mum.
Yeah, I remember when I was midway through my pregnancy, I was incredibly stressed. I had a lot going on. And I just remember sitting there, like on this grassy patch outside the school I was working at, like holding my bump and just going, I'm so sorry. I'm so stressed. It's nothing to do with you. It's just my life at the moment. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Hopefully it's all sorted before you come, you know. And I was just, and it was funny because my naturopath, he does muscle testing as well. And he was like, just keep talking to your bump, just keep talking, just keep, you know, we want to try and balance this out as much as you can. You can't control life. And I think the more that we learn to let go of that, but then also have the resilience to talk through it, especially with our children, that can be such a powerful legacy to leave with them as well.
Yes. And I was also stressed in my pregnancy, and I wanted to do some of the inner work. And I found a therapist, and I was just talking to her. And I was just like, we'll start the work, but I just can't do the work while I have the baby inside, because, you know, I don't want her to feel everything. They still feel your emotions, even like through the breastfeeding and stuff. So when they're close, they need you to regulate them. But at the same time, just as you said, like, emotions are natural. And even if we feel the high of being, I don't know, angry, upset, or scared, and process it, I feel that if we allow it to happen through our body, it's different to kind of like, I don't want to be scared, I want to be scared. And for 9 months, you were like, I don't want to have any feeling, will make you more scared and agitated and nervous and scary to you know, than letting it happen. So that's also my legacy. Emotions are emotions. And of course, life happens, and we want to learn to ride the emotions rather than have them to have a control over us. So that's the powerful thing, which is like an outcome from my healing and therapy sessions, because then you're not scared of them. You know, that here, psychologists say they usually take about 90 seconds. If you focus on the sensation in your body, it doesn't take you over. We're just scared of feeling it because we feel like our life will end, and there's like this tiger chasing us. And if I feel the fear of abandonment, I will die. But actually, you just feel tight stomach or pain in your shoulders or wherever it's stored. And in 90 seconds, you feel peace. What the scientists say, and what I've witnessed as well.
Yeah,
So we don't
I
die.
actually had
We don't die from emotions.
No, we don't. And, you know, I had this happen recently where I was at a restaurant and having a conversation with my dad, and it was a very triggering conversation. And I actually just sat there, and it was almost like I was having an out of body experience. But this shame came up, and I felt the shame, but it was almost like a bubble. Like it just kind of came up and I felt it, and then it popped and went away. And then embarrassment came up. And it just came up, and then it just popped and it went away. And then it was just sadness. And I just had to sit in the sadness that bit longer. And the same thing, then it just rose up and it popped and it went away, exactly as you described, Ivana. And then that was it. I was like, well, I want to enjoy my dinner, so I'm not going to dwell on this anymore. And I moved on. And my husband was more triggered than I was. It's just like, you know what? It's fine. And that actually led to some other powerful conversations happening after that, which I've shared with you. But, you know, it was so interesting being witness to that. Like you said, when you actually feel that emotion and let it come rather than trying to suppress it and ride with it, it makes such a difference to your overall being. And then I didn't have to go back and deal with that later. And it actually led to more conversations that were more powerful because I didn't let it control my actions or me. I just observed it, felt it, and let it go.
Compared to if you were like, I don't want to feel shamed. Like, don't speak to me about shame. I'm good with shame. It's not my emotion.
Oh, no.
I don't want to eat this dinner feeling ashamed. And everyone else, please stop talking about what we don't want to talk about because that brings my shame even higher. And that's avoiding, right? That sensation compared to just as you describe it to like, well, it's here. I felt it. And now what? Now sadness. Exactly. Okay, let's just bring it. It's sadness. It is sad. I acknowledge you. I see you. Okay, what's underneath? Well, now we can talk. So that's beautiful. And I see how much work you've done on yourself to be able to do all three of those during one dinner. And
yeah, it was. And it wasn't even 5 minutes. It was the most weirdest sensation I'd ever experienced, but at the same time so many powerful lessons came from that, from just sitting in those emotions and letting them come up. And exactly like you said, this is why you do the work on yourself, so that when you are in those situations you can just let the emotions come and go and let them float up, and you see them and you let them float away again. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is acknowledge them as well and say, okay, you know, they're here. I'm feeling you, but we don't have to stay around anymore. We can move on from that. And I find that that's a really powerful reminder for everyone too.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you for sharing so openly.
Okay.
It's gorgeous.
That's all right. I am an open book these days, and sometimes that helps too. Now, as we start to finish our time together, Ivana, as much as I know we could happily talk all night, I ask the guests that come on this show, if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
I think we just went through it, that if people knew that the things they're scared of are actually the gold, the nugget, the medicine they need, and on the other side is what they're looking for, that would be wonderful. And I do that. I do that every day because I feel that's a powerful change for all of us, and I help people not to be scared to go there if they need a hand to hold.
Exactly, and having the right support to keep moving through that, because sometimes, like we talked about at the very start, the emotions are really big and we just want to have that support to move through them too.
And there are new challenges. There's always new challenges.
And if people want to come and connect with you, if they want to come and find you on social media or on your website, where can they come find you, Ivana?
So Instagram, I hope we're live. If not, there are the snippets. I'm also on my website, which is ivanacare.com. We can link Facebook, and a new thing I'm launching is a group coaching. I'm also creating 7 love letters and 7 meditations to heal those 7 wounds we often have after breakup. So rejection, shame, guilt, abandonment issues. So all of those we can heal. So I'll be releasing the meditations as well, or it's one-on-one work for those who are called to have intimate environment and process and learn about emotions and nervous system regulation in a coaching healing session.
Which is so beautiful. So I'll make sure to include all those details in the show notes as well for anyone listening after. And thank you, Ivana, so much for sharing your journey and root cause therapy, and that powerful reminder as parents that we can teach our children how to ride through the emotions rather than suppress the emotions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.